Okay, the idea that Jason had was to plant 3 trees in a triangle form, and then he asked me if he could cut the tops off of those trees and save one of the tops, and then bring the 3 trees together, the tops of the 3 that he's cut off together, and then graft that top that he saved back onto those 3, because what he wants is this triangle shape that I don't know how wide he's planning on planting those apart at the base, maybe 3 feet or so, and then bring the tops together, put the top back on and have the top grow up, and then he wants to hang a basket, like a flower basket, underneath that. And I think that's a neat idea. Now I'll show you what he is proposing, and it would be very difficult to do that way. Not impossible, but very difficult. So I'm gonna show you what Jason has proposed and the problem with that, and then I'm going to offer a solution, present a better way to achieve the end result. Let me find I need to find a branch. It's kind of a 3-prong maybe here. Here, this will work. So, kind of trim this up a little bit here, and what this will kind of give you an idea of what he's proposing to do. He would like to take, plant the 3 trees, and then take the top of one of those and graft into those 3 trees. Okay, if you can picture these 3 trees coming up now, and you've got them pulled into the center, and somehow you need to suspend this or tie it or hold it or stake it, and it'd take a lot of hands to do what you want to do, Jason, because you'd have to have this tree, the 3 trees tied together or held together somehow. And I'm trying to get these clippers, these Velcros in my pocket. Okay, and then you're going to have to make the slices on this. If you could, even if you could, make the slices on this, expose the cambium, and make the slices on the 3 trees, and then have it match up that cambium on each of the 3 cuts, and somehow hold that all together and tape that all together. Even if you could do that, and even if you could get those grafts to take it, it'd be a kind of a variation of a whip graft, and you can look that up. If you could get all those grafts to match up, the cambium to match up, it'd be a pretty tedious operation. But if you could do that and then hold them all together and get them taped up and painted up and everything, this still would not work very well, because if you keep this top like you talked about from your existing tree, there's so many buds on here that there's not enough stored energy in this to force all those buds and still heal in at the bottom and have all this growth. So what you would want to do is just take a section of that, and if you could graft that in, just a section like we do when we're grafting fruit trees, and you've seen all that in the grafting videos where we take a dormant scion, S-C-I-O-N, but you'd only have 2 buds exposed, and you'd make your graft, and then there'd be enough stored carbohydrates in this to force those 2 buds, and that would make the top of your tree, and you'd eventually trim it down to 1, and so you just have one center shoot coming out of the top. Like I said, that would not work very well because you got too many buds. You don't actually take a big piece and graft on like that. You just take a small dormant piece and graft on. But instead of trying to hold all this together and make all that work and match up that cambium on those 3 trees and tape it up and paint it and somehow miraculously have that work and succeed, I'm going to suggest another route to go and accomplish the same thing. There's a thing that happens out in the wild, just kind of a natural phenomenon that happens out in the trees. It's kind of a natural graft. It's called inoculation. and what happens is a tree branch will maybe start rubbing up against another one in the wind and kind of rub the bark a little bit, and pretty soon it exposes the cambium enough to create a cambium contact and form a natural graft. I remember seeing one when I was a kid where this tree came up and two branches came out and then it grew back together and was grafted at the top, and there was like a window that you could look through the center of it. So that's what I'm going to propose you do here, is take your 3 trees, and it needs to be a single shoot. Each tree needs to be just one single shoot coming up, and you bring those shoots together, and I've seen them do this with grafts after we graft, and you bring those shoots together, and they actually, they're long enough, if they're long enough and small enough and pliable enough, you can actually braid them together, and that's what they do with the grafting sometimes, keep the wind from blowing them out. It's a really good idea, and I've seen it work really well. He's taken these sucker shoots off of each limb and twisted them together, and that forms a natural graft. You can see where the spirals right here. It's got this twist, and over there, and as I said, that forms a natural graft, and it's very, very strong. You can braid them together, and where they're braided together, you put some probably electrical tape. It needs to be something that will expand and grow with the graft and not girdle the tree. But if you put electrical tape on there and you braid up about 6 inches of that, those 3 shoots together, tape that up really tight, and actually you need to expose the cambium a little bit on each side of those, inside of each shoot, and wrap that together very tightly. In the springtime, when this is dormant, then you'll get this natural graft growing here. And once that's together and healed up, it starts to grow, then you can single this down to one shoot and make your top. You'll have your tree top come up then, and what you'll have is essentially a 3-legged tree that you can hang your little foo-foo basket under and grow your flowers. Anyway, I hope that makes sense, and to see the part about the grafting, you'll have to refer back to my playlist on my channel, the grafting. There's some 101 grafting 101 videos that'll explain this cambium and show it and show you exactly how to make that graft. But if you braid that up, expose the cambium and braid that up and tape it up very tightly and paint it over so it gets a nice airtight seal, that's going to work. And I'm going to suggest a willow, a hybrid willow possibly, because they're fast growing and they're easy to root and they're cheap, free. I don't know, I'd send you all the cuttings you want. Around here they're easy to get. Don't use a corkscrew willow, or sometimes called a crooked willow or a weeping willow, but just a hybrid willow would work really well, I think, for this project. And I think it's a good idea, and I think you'd have a lot of fun doing it. Okay, thanks. See ya.